Good evening or good morning, everyone. Welcome back. My special guest for today or tonight, depending on where you're coming to us from, is Belindé Schreuder, who's a return guest. Now, Belindé is a farm girl with 25 years of modeling experience, has won over 180 titles, including numerous national awards. She has represented South Africa internationally 8 times. As the owner of B Agency, she focuses on promoting self-confidence, personal development, and resilience in her students, helping them embrace their uniqueness. Additionally, Belindé is a makeup artist with a passion for speeches and writing. Currently, she holds the title of Miss International South Africa 2024 and will represent South Africa in Japan later this year. So, Belindé, welcome back to the show. How are you?
Thank you so much for having me, Adrian. I am good. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Now, there's a few things that I think you need to catch us up on. But before we get to that, those are some pretty scary numbers. 180, I think it was titles, and you've represented South Africa how many times? I'm scared to ask. I know since we last spoke, you've represented South Africa at Miss Earth, and I'm pretty. So, can you just walk us through some of these numbers because they're pretty scary numbers?
Of course. So I've been in the modeling industry for about 25 years now, which is a really, really long time. So the 180 titles was just me as a kid competing every weekend in maybe 2 to 3 pageants. Like years ago, there used to be like 4 pageants on a weekend. So 2 on a Saturday and 2 on a Sunday. So as a kid, I just used to compete because I loved the stage. So that's what I did in between dancing competitions and orators and debates and all that stuff. I just loved being on stage. So I grabbed every opportunity that I possibly could to get onto stage. So that's that. And then competing, so Miss International would be my ninth international competition. My first one when I was 18 years old, I competed in Italy. And, it's a funny story because they say if the international bug bites you, like there's nothing you can do to stop from wanting to compete again. So I almost want to say like the bug bit me when I was 18 years old, but for me, it's more than that. It is truly using the platform that I am given to leave a legacy behind and to truly make an impact in the world.
Can you? I was just watching back our first interview, which was about a year and a half ago, if I remember correctly. And you were telling the story. I had completely forgotten this. You were telling the story of how you originally got into modeling at the age of 3 as a young girl. Yeah, can you just retell that story? Because I think it bears retelling because it's hilarious.
It is like my favorite story to like tell in the entire world because people always think like I was pressured into like getting onto stage by like friends or family or like my parents, which is not true at all. So the story goes, we were at a flea market. So it was my mom, my aunt, my cousin, and then myself. And I actually had to go to the loo. And then my cousin said, it's fine, she'll go with me. And we never returned. And then a lady with big, bushy, blonde hair came to my mom and she's like, listen, do you have a little girl? She's about yay high, blue eyes, beautiful blonde curly hair. And my mom went, yes, I do. Why? What's wrong? What happened? And she's like, no, nothing's wrong. Like nothing happened. But can you please come and get your daughter off of stage? So what would happen is they would call the next contestant, so the number and the name, and then I would like just like jump in front of her and like walk the runway. And then only when I'm done, the actual contestant could walk. So my mom had, I almost want to say, like bribed me with marshmallows, which I still love to this day, and those golden chocolate points that you used to get. So she gave me a pack of marshmallows and a pack of those golden coins, and that's how they eventually got me off stage.
So I think I asked you this last time. I don't think I got a solid answer. So let me ask again. Are you sure you're supposed to be representing in Miss International? Or are you just going to go on there and jump on the stage whenever they call out someone's name? You really are. You really are going to be representing South Africa, right? You're not just stealing someone else's stage time.
No, I am truly going to represent South Africa to the best and to the fullest of my ability. And I'm not going to jump in front of anyone walking on stage.
It is good to know that one can bribe you with marshmallows and golden chocolate coins. So anyone watching there, if you want to get on Belinda's good side, there you know the keys to her heart. But let me ask you this. So obviously you've been doing this now for pretty much a decade. 10 years. That's a long time in pageant land, by the way, and modeling. And I'm sure you've had time to think about this. But how have you changed over those 10 years?
That that I almost want to say that's a very interesting and a very tough question. Because I've always been in the modeling industry and I've always been in the pageant industry. So it is not something that is, I was going to say, like new to me. But competing internationally is a whole different ball game. I mean, you are alone, you are away from friends and family for about 3 weeks at a time in a strange foreign country where you don't speak the language, you don't understand the cultural differences, you don't necessarily eat the food. Um, so you mature very quickly as a person. And you learn to adapt to certain situations and environments. So for me, I think that was one of the biggest things is I very quickly learned how to adapt to situations and how to respect people from different cultures and always trying to put myself in their shoes to try and understand how they might experience something or what they might feel like at a certain point in time. And then now with Miss International, it is even more than that. Yes, I've worked on my advocacies for like the last 10 years. It's something that hasn't changed at all. But something new that has come on is partnerships for the goals. So, really reaching out to people that I feel could help me in my advocacy to make it a more inclusive thing and a more international thing. And I think that is the biggest lesson that I've learned throughout my international career is that we're all human. And if we truly take hands and we truly stand up for what we believe in and truly get partners with us, then yes, we can truly make an impact and the difference in the world.
How do you go about, I mean, firstly, I love that answer because I think, if you go to represent just yourself, I mean, that's a great start. But the more people, the more like-minded people, I should say, you can bring on board, then I think the bigger an impact you're going to have. How have you gone
Correct.
about finding like-minded partners over in South Africa?
So it was a tricky thing, obviously, because we are such a diverse country. I mean, like we're known as the rainbow nation of the world. We have 11 different cultures. Now we have 12 official languages. So it is really difficult to find like minded people. But luckily, I have come across people that are absolutely amazing. And it's not necessarily just me finding people, but it's actually people reaching out to me saying, "Hey, listen, we absolutely love what you do. How can we get involved?" So that goes, for instance, Milk and Honey, who's a clothing brand, who's also now one of my sponsors. Ethics Fuel, who's also a sponsor, but also collaborated on a couple of projects that we're busy with. The same goes for the rhinos, the same goes for the elephants. And then we're busy with a very, very big partnership with BMW Montana and hopefully taking it to BMW South Africa. So it's truly just people loving what I do, who I am as a person, and just want to get involved in what I am busy with. And through that, we've got another business partner on board who's Afriforum. who really stands for the Afrikaners in South Africa and truly want to equip them and the youth with the right skills to actually stand up for not just your language, but for your country as a whole. So, because of everything that I've been doing over the last couple of years, people have seen that. And people are, I almost want to say, happy and impressed with that and want to collaborate on taking that onto a national and a global scale as well.
Let me dig into that because I'm not aware of most of the sponsors you named, just because obviously I'm here in Australia, you're over in South Africa. But I think everyone around the world is going to know what BMW is. And here's the thing, right?
Mm.
BMW wouldn't partner with you or collaborate with you or work with you if you didn't have anything to offer them. And this is a common fault that I see amongst pageant contestants. They want sponsors to come on board, but the girls really don't. They're not thinking about what it is they have to offer, right? They'll say exposure, but that's such a generic term. Obviously, if BMW is working with you, they've spotted something in you that they really want to align with and they're excited about, because otherwise they don't need to. They're BMW. They've got a lot of money to spend on advertising. So how have you managed? I mean, what qualities are they seeing in you and your social media presence and all that work you've been putting in? Why have they decided to collaborate with you? Because it's a compliment to you.
It is a very, very big compliment. And still to this day, I actually can't believe that we're in the final process of confirming this partnership. But I think the biggest thing that they saw in me and why they have chosen me is because that I'm so big in the agricultural side of South Africa. But more than that, it is truly about the rhino and elephant work that I do. And that is something BMW wants to get involved with and actually then back as an organization as a whole. So that is one of the qualities that they saw. But I think the biggest thing that they saw is they didn't see me as someone who has a title. They truly saw me as someone who is trying to make waves by leaving a legacy behind of making a change and making an impact wherever I go. So a big thing is BMW just signed a partnership with UNICEF South Africa on youth development. So, as you know, I'm very big about youth development. I wrote a children's storybook last year, especially focused on youth development. And then, obviously, it's in getting part of the rhino and elephant conservation that I'm doing. So it's not just one specific avenue. I think it's really because I'm targeting different areas where I am, but also where I want to go to. So I think that's the biggest thing. And what else? I'm not afraid to speak my mind. I think this is something you know about me for quite some time now is I'm very comfortable speaking to people. So I walked in there when we had our first interview with them and I said, listen, this is who I am, this is what I want to do, and this is why I think BMW South Africa should, well, Montana and then hopefully South Africa should get behind this. And I think that's just something that I loved was yes, I'm a fierce woman, but I'm also a farm girl. So I'm not afraid of getting down and dirty and, just being my normal self. But in the same sense, I can do a quick change and then I look completely different. So I think that's just something that they wanted and an area they would like to go in.
I think they should consider renaming BMW to stand for Belindé's Motorworks rather than whatever it stands for at the moment, given the way that this is going. But tell the audience more about your work with rhinos and elephants. Now, there's a link if you're watching this on YouTube. It's pinned in the comments to Belindé's Miss International video. And I was watching it just before I jumped on to you, and there's some footage of you right like holding an elephant, and it gives you an idea of how big these animals are because you're like 5'10". You're not a short woman, and this thing is making you look tiny, and you're next to its tusk, which I'm just looking at. Like, if that went the wrong way, that's the end of Belindé. Can you give us an idea of what exactly the work it is you're doing? Because I think most people are aware there might be an issue with loss of habitat or certainly poachers going for the ivory. in the tusks. But I'll let you explain it. So, what is the work that you're doing with the rhinos and the elephants?
So first of all, getting back to the story of the task and me, it's just being the end of me as Belinda. So actually, while we were busy filming my Miss International South Africa Beauties for STG video, I was actually standing there and I was doing my introduction. As you could see, Torva's just like being in the background, just being a big boy. And as he turned around, his tusks actually like grazed my chin. And at some point, I was like, I'm going to have bruises. And this is going to be a very interesting story to tell of me doing my introduction video and rocking up into Japan with like looking like a chipmunk on the one side because the elephant's tusk just like raised my jaws. But so the work that I do with rhinos and elephants, I think the video explains it very well. Yes, rhinos and elephants are some of the endangered species that we have in South Africa. So there's actually 14 of them, which includes the pangolin and the wild dogs as well. But the biggest thing about rhinos and elephants are, yes, they're being poached on a daily basis for their ivory. But it's more than just that. You know, if you truly go and look at them and how important they are for that specific environment and ecosystems and biosystems, you know, they truly so important. They push over a tree because it's in their way and they are big and strong enough to just like walk over it. But then there's other animals that can actually come and feed off of that tree and then take the seeds and the leaves from that tree and then distribute it into other parts of the bushveld. So they truly are very important. And a crazy statistic is we're losing about 300,000 elephants a year due to poaching. And 3 to 4 rhinos every single day due to poaching. So it is drastic numbers. And my work that I'm trying to do is just raise awareness about these majestic animals and how soft and kind and gentle they actually are. But because they're being poached at such a rapid rate, you know, they're getting angry and they're getting very frustrated because they don't know who's a friendly and who's, you know, coming to kill them. So whenever they see people, they would just like run towards you, like just like stampede you, just because they're trying to protect themselves. So the work that I've been doing is specifically on the elephants. The latest is 2 things. So we're busy with blood sugar tests on the elephants to actually see what their sugar levels are. And then we've taken that research to Chicago Zoo specifically. And then we tested those elephants as well. And what we actually saw was the elephants in Chicago Zoo have diabetes because of all the food that they are given in the zoo. So then we actually told them, listen, this is what they eat in nature. This is what we then provide them as a substitute for food. So maybe just try and change their diet, which they have. So the diabetes is looking better. But it is going to take a couple of months to stabilize the blood sugar levels. But luckily, it is a start. So it's not just about protecting them from poachers, but it is also, you know, making sure that the elephants that are out there, the African elephants that are out there and around the world, are truly living their best lives, even if they are in captivity. I know a lot of people are like, you're not supposed to keep animals in captivity, and I get that. But these elephants are not just kept there for people's entertainment. We're actually doing research on those elephants, using them for research. Another big part of it now is we're busy with an AI camera operated system to see if we can actually get automated gates to have elephants migrate, which is then going to take away from all the pressure that they're putting on a specific area of environment, that they can actually migrate to different areas, so that we can minimize the human elephant conflict, interaction conflict. So that's part of it. And then for the rhinos, it is mostly just educating people on what ivory is, what it is used for, and what it cannot give you. And then I've also been involved in a couple of dehornings, so where they actually trim the horns down, and installing tracker devices into the horns to actually see if if they do get poached, and the horns to get, kind of taken off and taken away. Where does those horns go to? That we can actually track the whole system to see where is the end base of it, to try and see if we can maybe, cut that line or that avenue off, that people don't want them anymore. So yeah, that's a very short, long brief of what I actually do.
I think it's hilarious that if you turn up to Miss International looking like a chipmunk, as you said on one side, people will now know that it's because you got taken out by an elephant with a friendly little nudge. But I want to just go back to one thing you said, which is that the elephants, because they've had to deal with poachers, and so they don't know when a human is coming to them, whether it's a human who wants to help them or it's a human who wants to kill them. And that just got me thinking, because for a lot of animals, that actually doesn't happen, because the knowledge is not passed on from generation to generation. So, for example, you might have one generation of cats, but then the next generation of cats doesn't really know anything from the previous generation because they're separated. So I'm just curious, are the elephants witnessing their family members or their herd members being poached, and then they remember that, and so after that they're scared of humans? Is that what's going on?
Yes, it is. So obviously with elephants, you have a matriarch. So the matriarch is then obviously a female leader of the whole herd. And so it's instinct, but it's also knowledge being passed on from generation to generation. So the matriarch, when a new matriarch is born, I almost want to say the grandmother then teaches her and shows her the way of leading the herd in the future. So yes, they are seeing it. There's actually been a couple of reports of elephants dying from heartache, from actually losing one of the herd members or a baby or whatever the case might be. So yes, they are experiencing it, and yes, it is knowledge being passed on from generation to generation.
That's really heartbreaking, because I think most people, I certainly wasn't aware that capacity existed within elephants. I mean, I'd be against all the poaching in principle already, obviously, but to think that it's having an actual emotional impact on them so severe that they could be dying, I mean, that's just even more fuel to the fire. I mean, you've obviously worked around with elephants, rhinoceroses, both of which are, let's say, larger than what most people have as their pets and animals. Are there any secrets or tips to working with these animals? Is it a case of not showing fear? Is it a case of realizing that you're very, very small compared to these animals? I mean, what's the secret to working with something the size of a rhinoceros or an elephant?
So you know what? I can't really say that there's a secret to it. I mean, the first time that I ever saw elephants, or these specific elephants, up close and personal, I bursted into tears. I think I was crying, looking like a 6-year old who just lost the ice cream. Like I was absolutely sobbing. I was so scared. But the moment that you get introduced to them and you get to experience and understand their story and what they've been through, I mean, all of the elephants that I work with was labeled as trouble elephants, meaning that they were just like destroying everything in their way. They tried killing people. And then what the owners actually wanted to do was to cull them. Now, culling has been illegal in South Africa since 1992. But unfortunately, what people don't know is it still happens on a daily basis. It's just not being reported. So culling, very, very bad thing. I mean, it's just, killing an animal because you don't want it anymore. So the owner of the Rory Hensman Conservation and Research Unit, who was Rory Hensman, then said, listen, don't cull these elephants, please give them to me. And he had 2 to 3 elephants, and he sat one day and he just wondered, he's like, listen, can you train elephants? Can you train them the same way you train dogs, by clicker training them? And he actually did an experiment on them, and he realized that yes, it was possible to clicker train them, just as you would train your dog at home. And that is why we now have these elephants, is because they have been clicker trained. It's not they're being abused with those hooks that you normally see at the circus. Not at all. These are just, I almost want to say, like good behavior enforced elephants. So they exactly know what to do. They have the mental capacity of a 3-year-old kid. So they understand words, they see shapes, they see colors, which makes it so interesting that you can actually talk to them and they listen to you and they do exactly what you ask of them. It is absolutely incredible. And I get like a little kid when I get to go to the elephants. They're so much fun. I always joke and say they're my babies, because every single time I get there and they bring them in from the bush, I mean, like they stampede towards me. I mean, like this is 7, 9 elephants that weigh like 2 to 3 tons. The big ones, I don't even know what they weigh. I'm gonna have to lie if I tell you exactly what they weigh. But just imagine a stampede of 7 to 9 elephants just running towards you. And I'm literally that crazy person that like opens my arms and I'm just like, I am so happy right now. I get to see my babies with like 9 elephants running towards me. Like I'll be crushed like a pancake.
These are some very large babies, Belinde. Very. I mean, can I just ask, when they stampede towards you, is the ground shaking? I mean, that many elephants coming at you, and they're 2 to 3 tons each. Is the ground moving a little bit?
Actually, not at all. So this is something that I actually never knew. They have incredibly soft soles, like underneath their feet. The same goes with rhinos as well. So that's why you don't hear them when they actually walk. Like you don't hear them at all. They're so soft. I mean, like you can look around you and there's nothing. And like 5 minutes afterwards, you can turn around and there'll be like an elephant behind you. Like you don't hear them, you don't feel them. So if you actually watch my Beauties for SDG video, right, you'll see that I am standing centimeters away from Junior, who is a very large rhinoceros. So he was being poached a couple of years ago. So he was shot in the front of his shoulder and then shot at the back of his shoulder as well. So he kind of walks with a limp. They don't know if he'll ever be able to recover from that and then be set, almost want to say free in the wild again, because that's what that rhino organization does, is they rehabilitate rhinos and then slowly but surely they reintroduce them into the wild. So we don't keep them, we reintroduce them to set them free. But this specific rhino, we actually don't know if it is going to be possible because he walks with that limb and he needs specific medication for it. But now was my first time in that video meeting Junior, and they told me, listen, just be aware of this. He does walk with a limb. But I mean, like, you'll be fine. Like, don't worry, don't stress about it. Like, you'll be cool. And I was like, okay, great, this is no problem. So we jumped the fence, which is 4 to 5 of these big wooden, I almost want to say like stumps. We jumped the fence, we walked up to him, I gave him his food, and the next moment he starts walking. And the way that he walks is he puts his mouth on the floor and then he lifts his leg up and then he like swings it over to then walk. In my mind, at that specific moment in time, I actually thought that that day was the day that I'm going to die. Because all that I saw was him just dropping his head and then bringing over that leg. So I thought I'm going to be a pancake, and that's okay. Luckily, I died being in my happy place. So you know what? That is fine. And then I actually just saw that no, that is the way that he walks because of being, I almost want to say like semi-poached. So I still do get scared. I do, but because I'm a farm girl and because I enjoy what I do, it's that of just like suck it up, buttercup, and then just carry on with life.
Okay, all right. I get the suck it up, buttercup. But let me just get this straight. You think that there's a full-grown rhinoceros about to trample you, about to charge at you, and you're just standing there, not moving because it's like, well, if it's my time, it's my time. You didn't scream, you didn't run away. You're just like, oh, whatever. This is my happy place. What? Nothing. No reaction.
I'll try and see if we actually did like caught it on camera. That if if I do find the clip, we'll send it to you. But yes, I just stood there and I got goosebumps. Normally people get that fight or flight reaction. I stood there and I was like, okay, today's my day. Like I'll be happy.
I, I'm speechless. I don't quite know how to react to this. I'm not sure that's a normal reaction, Belinde, to being charged at by a giant rhinoceros. Is well, if it's my time to go, it's my time to go, God willing, and I'm going to at least die doing something that I love. I don't know if that's normal. There might be something missing in you. But can I just go back? Also, the fact that they have names and it's a full grown rhinoceros, and it's called Junior. What are the other
Yes.
names? Like, what are the names that the elephants and rhinoceroses have? Because Junior is not exactly, like, oh, full grown tiger mountain killing dragon. It's like, hi, Junior, and it's like a giant rhinoceros. What other names do the other animals have?
So listen, I still have tears in my eyes from just actually realizing how bizarre it sounds of me just going like, okay, today's the day, and not actually having a flight or fight reaction. So yes, Junior is a very odd name. I mean, like he is about I think 5 or 6 tons of like just a piece of meat, just like standing there. And his name is Junior. So it is quite funny. There is two babies as well. I just, for the life of me, can't remember their names right now, but this is specifically with the rhinos. But the elephants is an interesting story. So the elephants actually have names of where they come from. So Chova is my big boy. He's my baby. If you go and look at my Instagram, all of the elephant pictures and photos and everything that you see there is with Chova. He's the youngest bull in the herd. Then you have Zambezi because she comes from the Zambezi side of things. You have Naledi. You have Sean. Sean, we're actually busy raising funds now because she needs an operation on her foot. And then you have Bala, who's a baby. She just turned 9 because she's born in the Bela Bela area. So they call her Bella. So it's interesting giving them names and actually understanding what names mean. So to us, names is a very personal thing, and we take names very seriously. But it's interesting to see how the same thing goes in the animal kingdom as well. They react to their names, they listen for their names, and if they
Hmm.
don't hear their names, they don't react towards it. It's just so interesting to experience all of it.
Um, is there anything that you're scared of? I mean, I'm asking this because I'm still have this picture of you standing your ground when when you think a rhinoceros is about to charge you. So I often talk to pageant girls and they're phobic of rats, snakes coming from Australia, spiders, all of that. I mean, is there anything that you see and you go, "Oh no, I'm going to run away from that"?
Yes, there actually is. So funny story. I was raised on a farm. I grew up on a farm. I'm a farm girl. I wear like two-tone khakis and fellies like 90% of the time. I look like this 5% of the time. Really? So I mean, like you get the picture of me just being like a farm girl. Right. So funny story is I am deadly afraid of scorpions. I cannot. They give me the heebie-jeebies. I've been bitten, stung, pinched, whatever you want to call it, twice by scorpions. I have the worst fear of them. I don't like them. I refuse to touch anything where I think there might be a possibility of being a scorpion. Like, I cannot.
Well, I mean, I'm glad to hear that common sense kicks in somewhere. I'm not sure that there's anyone who's going to say that they love scorpions. Can I just ask a really bizarre question? What's it like getting bit by one of those things?
It stings, it burns, it hurts. It is one of the worst feelings I've ever had in my life. So both of them was actually on my feet. So one was on the farm, one was here in the city. Both was on my pinky toes. Weirdly enough, I don't know why. I don't know. But it's such a numbing feeling when it like instantly when it happens, and then you get those pins and needles feelings, but it hurts and it burns and you can't walk and you can't sit and you don't know what to do, and at some point in time you're just like, listen, just just cut it off. Let's just get this over and done with. Just like take my pinky toe, it's fine, I don't need it. Like I just want to get rid of this feeling. It's a horrible feeling.
How long does it last for?
About a week to 2 weeks.
I
Yeah.
just have this really bizarre picture in my head now of you turning up to Japan for Miss International, missing your pinky toes with a giant chipmunk sized bruise on one side and probably 100% flatter because you've been trampled by a rhinoceros. But you're like, well, if it's my time to go, it's my time to go. And I'm here. So it's not my time to go yet. So go South Africa. It's just, it's such a, because you know that some people will say, I'm not a typical pageant girl, but then what they proceed to describe is exactly a typical pageant girl. And here you are, you know, facing down a rhinoceros, so to speak, getting stung by scorpions. And I just, this is a very, I'm going to assume that if any time there's any trouble in Japan, you're going to be the one that manages to keep a pretty calm head. Am I right?
Yeah, well, in whatever situations, like emergency situations, I'm always the one that's like calm, level-headed, rational when everyone else is like freaking out. So yes, in my pageant journeys, I am normally known as like the mom of the group. Um, just because I'm always level headed, always rational, always trying to see everything from everyone's perspective. And then I'm always the only one with like an entire emergency kit. So that includes, you know, stuff for dresses, stones, shoes, medication as well. So any and everything you can possibly think of, I have it with me. And if I don't have it with me, it is back in the hotel in my suitcases. So yes, I mean, like you can ask any of the girls that I've ever competed with, they will tell you this is exactly the truth. I'm always the mom of the group.
Okay, but question, and this might be a silly question. What exactly is there in your kit that can deal with being trampled by a rhinoceros?
Um, you know what? Unfortunately, for being trampled by rhinoceroses, I don't have something, but I normally do have super glue with me. So, I mean, like if you do lose anything, you mean like your ear or like your finger or a tooth, you know, I do have super glue, so we can just like stick it, just like super glue it until we can get you to a hospital to get it fixed.
Now I have this image of you arriving in Japan with your teeth super glued back in and your pinky toes super glued back on, but on the wrong feet. This picture is going from bad to worse. If I can just, that's such an interesting picture. Just this idea of you going, oh my god, well it's my time, and here comes a rhinoceros. Oh well. But if we go back to the, because it's the beauties for SDG, can you tell me more about that? Because previous to this year, I didn't know much about Miss International. Part of that is because during COVID, they probably were hit the hardest. I think they went at least 2 years, maybe even longer, without an actual pageant. I think they were one of the only ones who decided not to go online or go virtual. Japan was really badly hit by lockdowns. But tell us more about Beauties for SDG. What is it? What is it about? What does SDG stand for? Again, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can check out Belinda's Miss International video where she talks about certain initiatives that she's getting behind. But what is Beauties for SDG?
So, Beauty for SDG is the Sustainable Development Goals from the United Nations. So, these goals were set to be achieved by 2030 in hopes of, really making an impact and a difference in the world and really just trying to save Mother Earth. So, there's 17 different goals. For me, I am actively involved in I think it's four of them. So it's SDG number 4, which is quality education, which has to do with youth development. Now, throughout my whole career, I've always been very passionate about youth and trying to impact the youth to help them understand what they are going through, but also giving them the skills and knowledge to come out of that and to become, almost want to say, better, bigger people and really make an impact in their world and then carry that on. It's the same thing. It's having that ripple effect. So yes, I might not have the ability to change the world, but I can change someone's world, which is going to impact an entire bloodline off of that. Then it is SDG 13, which is climate change. Now, we all know that climate change is real and it is happening by, I was going to say, the speed of light. How we can truly see the impact of climate change and how the world is changing, where it is heating up. I mean, at this stage where I live in Centurion, Pretoria, South Africa, it is so hot that, we at like 7, 8 in the morning, you already just want to go take a dip into the pool because it's so hot. So I want to plant trees, but I also want to make it bigger than that. So what we've been doing is we've actually been planting fruit trees at children's homes. So one, children's homes don't always get government backing, so they do struggle with food. So yes, you're planting a tree, but you're also providing them with nutrients that they need by planting fruit trees. And it's so fun to see how the kids always have such a fight about whose tree is it, who's going to water it, who's going to look after it. It's truly just instilling that care for the environment and for the planet in young kids and truly seeing them just grabbing onto this. I mean, it is children in children's homes, so we don't always know or understand their circumstances or why they're there. But one thing that I can tell you is they are very much neglected. And it's not on purpose, it's just because the funds aren't there, the nutrients and the food is not always there. So seeing them and their faces light up when you give them a tree. I mean, like, a tree is not, it's not a big extravagant gift like, kids get at like Christmas or like their birthdays. I mean, like, it's just a tiny seedling of a tree, but just seeing their faces light up because someone actually truly cares about them and someone wants to make their lives better is what is giving me goosebumps at this moment. And it's just reflecting back on those faces, that makes it worth it for me. And then it is SDG 15, which is life on land. So that is where my work with the rhinos and the elephants come in. And then a new one we've added is SDG 17, which is partnerships for the goals. So that is where I have collaborated with Adventures with Elephants, the Rory Hensman Conservation and Research Unit, Rhino Connect, and BMW to actually really partner up for the goals and truly make an impact on the conservation efforts of rhinos and elephants and making a bigger impact for the new generations, for them to have the ability to experience rhinos and elephants closely and safely like I have the last couple of 7 years.
Belinde, how much free time do you have?
So funny that you should ask. My free time that I have is between 8 and 10 in the evenings. That's my
Okay.
limit.
Okay. All right. Um, I mean, I do love the fact that you actually have some time blocked out for free time. Education is something that I think is extremely important because whenever I look at a situation, I like to look at what the real root cause of it is. I'm not a fan of band aid solutions where it looks like you've done something, but the problem continues. And I think education is so foundational. Like, if you don't educate the kids, and if you don't give them the nutrition they need, they're not going to develop properly. And so that will affect them as well. And then if you have a whole generation who didn't receive educational opportunities, didn't get the nutrition that they need when they were growing up, then you've got a generational problem. And it doesn't matter how many band-aids you put on that, it's just never going to work. So I love the fact that you, in particular, you sort of combine the two, the education and then the environmental and the climate stuff by growing a fruit tree. I mean, what sort of fruit trees grow well in South Africa? Are we talking oranges, apples, pears? What are we growing?
Yeah, so it's a variety of them. But interestingly enough, every single children's home that I've reached out to plant trees has always asked for a lemon tree. I don't know why. I don't know what it is about lemons, but people absolutely love lemons. So lemon trees is a very big, I'm just gonna say like favorite. And then yes, it's oranges, it's peaches, apples. Um, I've planted dragon fruits. I've planted banana trees, avocado trees. So it's a whole wide variety of things. So what I normally do is I reach out to a children's home telling them what I'm busy with and what I would like to do. And then when they come back and they say, yes, perfect, this is great. Please, we want to get involved, or please, we would have you get involved. I always ask, what type of fruit trees do you want? Because it doesn't help that I plant the trees that I love, which is like a nectarine tree and a lemon tree, or like a nectarine and an apple, peaches, or cherry, or blueberry, or whatever it might be. It truly goes about what they want and what they need. So I always ask them, and like the number one request out of all of them is a lemon tree.
Are they just straight up eating the lemons? Is that what's happening here?
Well, I don't know. Like for myself, I can tell you that that's what I used to do as a kid. Just like pluck a lemon from the tree and just like eat it as an apple. But I mean, like I can only speak for myself. I can't speak for anyone or everyone else.
You are the most hardcore person I think I've ever met. You're just picking lemons off trees, just eating them like apples. You're facing down rhinoceros. I'm kind of wondering what's next. I'm also really hoping that you do manage to get to Japan, because if you continue to live life at this rate, you may not make it. But I mean, as we already discussed, you're a seasoned pageant competitor. You've represented your country many times and very successfully. So at this stage, when you're gearing up to go and do it again, what is pageant prep for you like now, given that you've done it many times before? Is it easier? Is it different? What's pageant prep been like for yourself?
So I think every single pageant has its own set of challenges and skills that you need. So not one of my journeys has ever looked the same. So for this one, it is a complete 180 turn. I have dedicated this whole journey to the Lord. And I mean, if you go and watch all of my videos, all of my Instagram posts for like the last year, it is what I've been saying is my Miss International journey is because and is for the Lord. Everything that I've done to date is because of what the Lord has given me. I mean, all of the sponsors, all the financial contributions, all of the projects, appearances, everything has just because of the Lord. So when I got the title, when I was standing backstage, I actually did a quick prayer and I said, Lord, please grant me this wish. Please give me this opportunity that I can have this title but that I can have this title to proclaim your good news, to get people to turn back to you, and that I can use this platform to have a bigger and a louder voice to do your works on earth. And sitting backstage after the top 5 Q&A, I was so content with myself. And I was truly just so content with the whole journey that I had, that I wasn't even worried or stressed or thinking about being crowned Miss International South Africa. And when it did happen, there's videos and photos of it where you can literally see that I'm sobbing. The tears are running down my face. And that for me was just a grateful moment. And ever since then, I have prayed that prayer every single day, saying that thank you for this opportunity, thank you for this platform, but use me that I can be a stewardship for you, that I can teach people about you, that I can proclaim your good news. And because of that, I have had everything that I have. I mean, my flights, my final dresses, all the evening gowns that I need, my suits, my national costume, my day-to-day wear, my hair, my nails, my makeup, everything has been sponsored for. Just because of the Lord coming through and saying, listen, this is your journey and this is what I'm going to give you. So this journey for me has truly been, I almost want to say extraordinary, because yes, there has been loads of stressful moments. Just thinking that I don't know how am I gonna do this. I don't know how am I gonna get through. I don't know how am I gonna get to Japan. I just know that I'm getting there. I don't know how. And then the next moment receiving a phone call of someone saying, like, listen, we've just paid your flight tickets, here's your flights. Listen, we know you need dresses, here's your dresses, please come and fit them. The same goes for my national costume, the same goes for my day-to-day wear. And then the same goes for all the media appearances as well. It's truly just people reaching out saying, hey, listen, we love what you do. Please come and talk to us more about your journey, about everything that leads up to Japan. Please come and see us. This is the dates and the time. And then I don't even have words to say what it means, of just giving this whole journey to the Lord and just seeing extraordinary things happen.
I read the Bible from front cover to back cover for the first time a couple of years ago. I was baptized as a child. I didn't get any say in it, and I was made to go to church every Sunday. And so, as a headstrong, stubborn young kid, as an intellectual, stubborn young kid, I was like, why are you making me go to this place every Sunday for an hour? So I didn't enjoy it, but I felt the calling ever since I'd become an adult that, the good book, so to speak, has been around for a couple of thousand years. There's probably a reason for that. You might learn something from reading it. And like your story, I don't want to draw too much of a parallel, but I mean, obviously the story of Moses leading his people out into the desert, and being out in the desert for that long, and it really being a test of faith. I mean, over the years, I'm not going to draw a comparison directly with that with your pageant career, but I'm sure that over the 10 years you have had moments where, let's say, that you've had your faith tested, certainly your resiliency tested. And so to maybe come full circle, if that's the right phrase, and to be dedicating your journey and everything you're doing to the Lord, it has to feel, how does it feel when, like, just something out of the blue comes through, you don't know how you're going to get to Japan, and suddenly now you know, or you don't know about the national costume and now it's handled. I mean, how does that feel?
So every single time that I have received that phone call to say that, listen, this has been placed on my heart. I don't know. I mean, like Essex Fuels, just received a phone call and saying, listen, I don't know who you are. I don't know where you come from. I've seen your post. I'm reaching out asking, what do you need? How can I contribute towards that? And you're going through the list and you're saying, listen, this is the funds that I need, this is what I need. And they just returning and saying, like, okay, well, you can tick 2 to 3 things off of your list. Here is an X amount of money. Um, every single time, and me just thinking about it, I actually get tears in my eyes. It is such a grateful, heartfelt, grateful, um, unexplainable feeling. I truly don't know how to put it in words. To give you an idea, just a quick summary of it. For Japan, we need to take an auction gift. And for a long time, I contemplated on what am I going to take. So the funds raised from that auction is then donated to UNICEF, where they're then going to use the money to help where UNICEF Japan feels most needed. I mean, none of us are poverty free or inequality free. So, I truly understand why they're doing this and what the money is going for. So, I'm super happy and super thrilled to be able to collaborate with them in this partnership with UNICEF Japan and, actually make a bigger difference than just in my country itself. So I had a painter reach out and say, listen, we heard that you need a auction gift. We want to paint you something. And I was like, okay, great. This is amazing. Like, I'm going to Japan. This is what Miss International is about. This is where it is hosted. I mean, like, you have free reign to paint whatever you want to. Like, I didn't say this is what I want. This is specifics. I left it open. And the other day, I received photos of it, and I could not believe what I saw. So it is busy being couriered to me. So I'm waiting for the painting to arrive. It should arrive by tomorrow, Wednesday. Just to see this thing in real life, to see what it actually looks like. Because on photos, it looks amazing. Like, I can't explain it to you. It is different colors. It is big. It has gold in it. It is the representation of Japan. It's a representation of the different cultures. It's a representation of South Africa, all in like one image. Like, I was absolutely blown away. And I had to phone the painter to say, you know what, thank you so much for this amazing gift. And for like the first 5 minutes on the telephone, I could not speak at all. Like, it was just me sobbing on the phone, and I'm pretty sure the painter was like, "What the hell is going on here?" But luckily, he understood everything. They're also very big Christians, and he's like, "Listen, I get it, I understand it." The moment I finished and I stood back, I had the same expression, I had the same flood of emotions. So I get it. It's extraordinary. It's amazing. It's faithful. It's grace. Um, it's incredible.
It's not a painting of you about to get trampled by a rhinoceros, is it?
No, it is not. Unfortunately, not. I'm sorry to crush your dreams.
Well, better you crush my dreams than you get crushed by Junior, that's for sure. Um, let me just ask you: you're going to be on stage in Japan. You're tall, you're blonde. You know how to. You've been in this industry for a long time, so I'm sure you're going to look amazing up there. But if someone is watching, if there's a pageant fan watching, and they see you, what is it that you most want to be remembered for?
I think the biggest thing that I want to remember for, and the legacy that I want to leave behind as a Miss International South Africa, but more importantly as a Miss International, is that I was more than just my sash. I was more than just my title. I truly use this platform to truly make an impact and a difference in the world. And that's by showing compassion, by showing kindness, and by educating people, but also the youth, about what it means to be a leader, what it means to dream big and to believe in your dreams, and to always fight for that dream, no matter what it is. And I think that is a true testament of my story as well. So, all of my international competitions, everything, yes, has happened for a reason, but it was actually all in all just preparation leading up for Miss International. So, Miss International was always the final goal for me. Because I understand what a Miss International is, I understand what she is about and what she stands for. And that is a woman that uses, I almost want to say, her beauty, her intelligence, her wisdom, and her knowledge to stand up for something that she believes in. And no matter what happens, no matter who says what, the criticism, the failures that you might experience, no matter what you go through, she always stands for what she believes in. And for me, it is that exact same thing. I mean, every single competition I did was to get the knowledge, to get the skills, to get the experience and the wisdom to be able to stand on that Miss International stage and to say, listen, I am here. I'm not perfect. I am a very imperfect, perfect person. I'm vulnerable. I wear my heart on my sleeve. If you've met me, if you spend time with me, that is the first thing that you will see about me. I'm a kind, I'm a humble, but very bubbly person, and I love working with people. And I want to use this platform to make a mark in the world, to say that I wasn't just a blonde, pretty, tall, very white girl, a 5'10". I was actually someone that stood up for what I believed in and stood up for making a difference. And no matter how hard it gets, no matter how difficult it gets, how tired you are, I will always greet you with a smile, and I will always listen to your story, and I'll always give advice no matter what, and show you at the end of the day empathy, kindness, and courage.
Well, if it is God's will and the big crown gets put on your head in a month or two's time, do you have any immediate plans with it?
So, yes, of course I do. I mean, going into Miss International, it was a planned out thing from start to finish. But one thing that I do like about Miss International is they allow you to return back to your normal life, to carry on with your work or your initiatives, continue your studies, whatever it is that you're busy with when you enter. They allow you to return to that part of your life. Now, for me, my life is my advocacy. That is what I work with on a daily basis. And that's truly where I want to make and leave the biggest impact, is in the youth, is in the conservation efforts, and is in partnerships for the goals. So yes, I do have an action plan coming. Action plan when I want to come back to South Africa. I mean, BMW South Africa, we're busy planning a whole thing of maybe doing like a TV series of the 14 different endangered species, why they are important, and why we do need them in South Africa. And that is something that I would want to take internationally as well, to say, listen, this is the top 14 endangered species in the world. I mean, you said it last year, and it was one of the biggest compliments I've ever received in my life. And it is something that I will always strive to be. And that is the South African female version of David Attenborough. Um, and hopefully, with BMW South Africa, that is something that I can be, and that is something that I would want to be. But not just of South Africa, but just being the female version of David Attenborough, travel the whole world to do this series about endangered species, and then travel the world with my children's storybook that I've written. We're busy finishing it up, cleaning it up, and to have it published next year. So that would be amazing if I could have the title of Miss International and then have this international launch of the storybook, not just keep it locally in South Africa, but have it in Japan, for instance, have it translated into Spanish, have it translated into Portuguese, Chinese, all of these different languages. But then also, continue my work that I do with youth development and quality education. So, like I said previously, I've just signed it. Well, not signed. We're still in the discussion phases of AfriForum. Now, AfriForum is an organization here in South Africa that is focused on the Afrikaner. Now, Afrikaans is one of our official languages. So we are a minority in the country who speak Afrikaans. So what this organization does is it truly, truly fights for the Afrikaner, for the Boer. So we've just been busy with discussion. Sorry for the tongue twister. On seeing how I can collaborate with them, not just as a Miss International or a Miss International South Africa, but as a local farm girl. How can
Mm.
I use my story to touch people's lives and to make a difference, and then collaborate with them to take it to a whole new level and a bigger scale and platform?
I remember saying the David Attenborough comment, and now the whole thing about you facing down a rhinoceros makes a lot more sense, because I think you two are probably the only human beings on the planet who, when a rhinoceros, I think a rhinoceros is charging at them, would stand their ground. Just you and David, Sir David. I think that's about it. So yeah, I stand by that comment, and I think you've proven it even more right after a year has passed. But Belindé, just before we get to the final 10, because we've been on for a while, and I want to be respectful of your time, is there anyone that you'd like to give a shout out to for supporting you on your journey?
Um, yes, there is. Obviously, there is. I just want to say thank you to everyone who has supported, encouraged me, who has sent prayers. I get messages of people just saying, "Listen, we're praying for you," and that's all that I'm asking, is just to show love and support. Being an national, international title holder comes with a very big responsibility, and it's not always sunshine and roses. It is a difficult journey. It is difficult with prep and handling your normal life as well. But everything that a woman has to do to prepare for this competition takes a lot out of her. So the words of encouragement, the love, the support, the prayers, the thank yous, and the good luck, all of that really, really goes a long way. So for me, my special shout out would go to my immediate friends and family. Um, I can't even start to thank them for what they've done. And just being there, just being a shoulder to cry on, just being a soundboard that I can just get things off of my chest. For all the prayers, the encouragement, the ideas of dresses and national costumes and bikinis and styling and all that stuff has been an immense help. To all of my sponsors who have come on board, who see the potential in me, and who see what I do and want to collaborate with that. Um, I can't put it into words. All that I can say from the bottom of my heart, just thank you, thank you, thank you, and I hope that I make you proud in Japan.
Well, let's get to these final 10. Second time round for yourself. Number 1, what is
Oh
your
goodness.
favorite what is your favorite word?
So as of for this year, my favorite word is wakata patata. It means like oops. So whenever something happens, it doesn't matter what it is. If I prick my finger with a needle, if I stick my eyelash on wrong, if my hair tie snaps, or whatever the case or scenario might be, my favorite word is wakata patata.
Please spell that.
Wait, hold on. Let me write it out. Then I can actually spell it to you. Because if I'm gonna have to spell it out, just like out of the top of my mind, I might get it wrong. Okay, do it. Okay, so OGATTAPATTA. Batata.
So it means oops.
Yeah, I mean, like that's the version that I can say online. But yes, it's basically like a whoopsie.
Well, I can tell you definitely that's the first time I've been given that as an answer. After you spelled it, I still don't think I could pronounce it, but it's always good to have a first time for
Oopsie's fine.
everything. I can't even
Oopsie's
remember
fine.
what you said. By the time you get to the end of the word, I've forgotten how it begun. So I can't. Oh dear.
Okay, okay,
Um,
okay. So let's try this.
or
Gata,
pata,
batata.
patata. It says kata patata.
There we go.
Oh, good.
I love
I
it. But
feel like
yes, that that's my favorite word.
all these Miss International interviews I've been doing, I've been getting embarrassed by how bad my foreign pronunciations are. So I will add that to the list. Moving on, number two. What is your least favorite word?
No. 110%. Like, I cannot take no for an answer. I will always try to persuade, to talk my way into a maybe or like yes for later. I don't take no's very well.
Number three, in life, what gets you excited or what turns you on?
What gets me excited? My work that I do. So that's the modeling agency, the youth development, the rhino and elephant conservation, or anything to do with the partnerships. That really gets me excited. Um, yeah, that's basically it.
What about what turns you off?
What turns me off is selfish people. That is something that I have experienced a lot throughout my journey. Is selfish people, people just in it for themselves or just want something because they think the world owes them something. That is really something that gives me a sour taste in my mouth.
Number five, what sound do you love?
The sound of rain and thunder. It brings back such a vivid memory of staying on the farm and seeing the lightning on the horizon and then hearing the raindrops on the roof. So that is my absolute favorite sound in the world.
What sound do you hate?
We actually spoke about this earlier. One of the sounds that frustrate me the most currently is the sound of a harida. So it's birds that are found here in South Africa. So whenever you on a call with someone that is in South Africa, the moment you know how they are in South Africa is by the sound of a harida. And then the other one that has recently been added to my list is a leaf blower.
I used to absolutely detest the sound of leaf blowers because I thought they were the most stupid invention ever made because all they do is move the mess from one area to another. But since I got one, I may have changed my mind. So I'm a massive hypocrite now. But I will say that in interviews, I'm still definitely not a fan of them. But number seven, if you could have any one superpower, what would you pick and why?
Um, One superpower. So I think that would be mind reading. For the reason that if you can read someone's mind, you can understand I almost want to say the train of thought of why they are reacting a certain way. And by understanding that thought, you can show them a lot more empathy and a lot more understanding. And just by having that, you could resolve so much conflict and war in the world. And you can then truly make a difference because you understand people so much better. So, yes, mind reading.
Number 8. What job would you most like to attempt?
A wildlife veterinarian. So, if I could turn back the clock and go and study anything in the world, it would be a wildlife veterinarian. I know we spoke about it the other day. Well, not the other day, like a couple of years ago. And I said a criminology. That is still on my list. But that has slightly moved down, and a wildlife veterinarian has now been added to the top of my list.
I am always very happy to hear when one of you pageant girls has a decreased interest in crime. That always makes me feel a little bit safer because all of you are fascinated with serial killers and true crime podcasts, and I still don't understand it for the life of me. But anyway, number 9, what job would you definitely not like to attempt?
A plumber. Like I cannot. And I say this with the biggest respect. Obviously, when you live on a farm, you have to do everything yourself. You hardly get anyone to come and do it for you. Now, Adrian, by your expression, I can only imagine what you were thinking. So, to give you a short summary of why I say this, right? We were busy working on the farm, and my grandfather said, listen, there's a water pipe that's leaking right here. Like, we need to break open the ground, get to the leakage, have it fixed, and then, just kind of close it up again. And I kept saying to my grandfather, watch out for the water pipe. Watch out for the water pipe. You're very close to the water pipe. And the next moment, what do you know? He hit the water pipe. So that made an hour's job into an entire day's job. Um, so I have the utmost respect for plumbers. It is not something that I'm very fond of doing. So I would not like to attempt it ever again in my life. Thank you very much.
If you want to know why I was laughing, just go back and listen to your answer. It wasn't the what you said, it was the inflection with which you said it that was just absolutely hilarious. It's like it didn't need any explanation whatsoever. It's just like, yep, got that. I can see she's definitely never going to be a plumber. But that story that you told, that's funny because I often have that. I often think it's a male thing as well. Like men always want to fix things themselves, but the problem is they're sometimes not quite as good at fixing things as they think they are. I've had words with my father on several occasions when there's a roof tile that needs to be fixed, and he insists it's not that complicated, and he then proceeds to walk on the roof himself. Um, no, no, get a professional to do it. Okay, guys, please don't. You don't have to display your macho-ness by doing it all yourself. And if you're an actual plumber, then I take it back. But no, it drives me crazy. Anyway, final question. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
Well done and thank you. I think that is the biggest thing that I strive for in my life, and the last year since I've come to the realization again that the Lord is truly there, and He truly has His hand of protection on me or around me, and everything that I do and that I strive for on a daily basis is just to live according to His will and His words, and to do everything that I almost want to say that He expects of me to do. Each of us have been given a certain amount of skills, knowledge, and talents. And I try to use mine to the best of my abilities to spread His good news and to make an impact in the world. So that is a sentence that I wish to hear the moment that I get to the pearly gates is well done for what you've done and thank you for what you've done. That's it.
Well, I hope you do get to hear that, but I hope it's a while before you get to hear that because you haven't been trampled by, certain members of the wildlife that you work with. But Belinde, it's been great catching up. Thank you so much for coming on. And I'm not going to say you've changed since we last spoke, but you definitely seem to have grown, probably been through a few things, and you seem a lot more at peace than I've ever known you to be. And I think that's an amazing place that we could all strive for, is having that inner fulfillment that comes from knowing what we're put on earth to do. So I wish you best of luck over in Japan. And thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for that compliment. Yes, that is something that I've strived for during my year as Miss International South Africa, is just being at peace, whatever the result is, and knowing that I truly left my heart and my mark on the world. So thank you very much for that, and thank you for seeing that. That is a very big compliment for me. So thank you, and thank you for having me. It was great having laughs again, and just chatting and telling my story and getting my advocacy and everything like that just out there before I head to Japan. So thank you for that.
I will keep everyone on the line for just a sec whilst I hang up with the audience. But thanks everyone for watching, and we will speak to you next time. Bye for now.